So Tim Walz, the Democratic vice presidential nominee, is wrapping up a day here in Georgia, and he's made a low-key, mostly unannounced campaign stops in Macon and Atlanta all day. 11 Alive's Doug Richards here to explain why they were so unannounced and what he's doing here in Georgia.
Well, the latter question is the one that we're mostly looking at based on his first visit here as a vice presidential candidate. Tim Walz spent today in Atlanta looking for votes among young people, some of whom told me that they would be voting for the very first time in the election 7 weeks from today.
And I think we are engaged with you, but I think this last month is the time.
Tim Walz was at Georgia Tech for much of the afternoon, visiting with student leaders at a bookstore, talking up women's rights and gun regulations in front of a room full of what he called young people with optimism. In Macon, he visited an Eisenhower-era restaurant called H&H. In an interview, Walz outlined how he and presidential candidate Kamala Harris aim to take on inflation and a sometimes bumpy economy.
Especially around home ownership, making sure we're building 3 million more affordable homes, making sure we're making the down payment assistance there. Drug prices, especially for seniors, making sure we're keeping a cap on those, that's making a difference. And then making sure we're investing in rural communities, like the investment acts that have created a lot of new jobs in terms of infrastructure and other things.
Walz's visit stressed engagement with young voters as well as voters of color. If Democrats can turn them out, they think they've got a chance to win Georgia.
So, Doug, we know that with everything that happened in Florida over the weekend, security is very tight for these candidates. We saw that with J.D. Vance yesterday. How much advance notice were people given to see Governor Walz if they wanted to go see him?
Hardly any, and this was unusual compared to other previous visits where there would be some itinerary released a few hours in advance. In this case, hardly any.